Hey everybody, welcome back to Top Bins with Twins. We got a special episode where it's just going to be me, Paul, and Kyle on the podcast. Kyle, how are you doing?
Well, I wouldn't say it's very special after the week I just had, but it's still good to be here.
Yeah, FPL always fills us with joy, right?
Or despair. There
or,
is
or
no there is no in between.
despair. It happens, man. It happens. And we are at the point of the FPL season where you realize it's a marathon, not a sprint. So I know there's people out there listening to this right now that are like, why am I listening to an FPL podcast going into game week 37? But every week matters, right?
That is true. You can have a really good game week like Paul here, and it
Oh
can really
no,
it can
not
really
me.
no could never be. Um, you couldn't leave any points on the bench this week. That's why. Um,
I know.
but yeah, I mean, you still 2 game weeks left. You could have a good game week and really boost your overall rank. Even if the mini league that you're in is out of reach or already wrapped up. So still plenty to look forward to the next 2 weeks. But also just some fun because I mean it's the end of the season. The actual league is wrapped up, but there's still a lot to play for in the actual league for Champions League spots. Some twists happened this weekend, so um, still still really fun.
Yeah, Kyle is a City fan. How are you feeling right now? Do you think you'll have it locked up for Champions League?
I think we'll get it. Last week was rough. It kind of surprised me that Pep said that he didn't really expect that from Southampton to sit in a low block where it's almost exactly what I expected them to do.
I don't know what else you would expect, to be
Yeah, I
honest.
mean
Like,
they had 3 games left and they had to get a point so that they were not tied for the worst team in Premier League history. Like every game was going to be a fight for a point. So it was our job though to kind of break them down. And I don't know, for me it was kind of a weird game to bring Holland back into the squad where your team has been clicking with Marmoush and you knew that there was going to be a low block. I know that Holland's a little bit more physical, but just seemed like a really weird game to switch it up, especially this late in the season. I know that there's still a lot to play for, but your team's been playing good with Marmoush. Holland is coming off of an injury. I would have thought that maybe a little bit more time, but at the end of the day, there were some chances that they could have scored, and they just ended up not. So
yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's a situation, Kyle, where I mean, looking at City's fixtures, I mean, they play Bournemouth, who've been kind of tricky this year. You play Fulham also. I mean, those are two games where, I mean, losing the 2 points to Southampton, obviously, I mean, they're playing away. It's a situation where both teams are kind of still playing for something, you know? Still could bite City. For your sake, Kyle, I hope it doesn't, but it's very possible. I mean, you're right. Changing up the dynamics, it's kind of like changing up the dynamics of your FPL team, making a transfer that maybe you believe in, but maybe you shouldn't, you know? You just don't really ever know in these situations how it's going to play out because all these teams are here for a reason. Even Southampton,
yeah, to
buddy,
take points,
they
to
can
take
push
points
anybody
off the
on
city.
on on the two games of the year that they play good. They can points can be taken. It's the Premier League, you know.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But yeah, like you said, I mean, it's really close at the top. I mean, that was this past week was a chance for City to be 1 point behind Arsenal, especially with you guys playing Liverpool. But it is what it is. Gotta play till the final game. Got barely any wiggle room, so we could drop 2 points, um, most likely. But that would be, I would think, the minimum because you got Chelsea and Aston Villa both just 2 points behind you.
Mhm.
You got a little we have a little wiggle room with our goal differential, but um, like you said, still two tricky fixtures, two fixtures that last year you would be saying that City would demolish them, but it's, it's a new year, different team, so it'll be fun to watch, that's for sure.
It is pretty crazy to think about the fact that Nottingham Forest were playing Leicester City in a game last week that had huge ramifications for Champions League. If you would have told either of us that at the beginning of the season, I think both of us would have been like, "You're absolutely clinically insane. There's no way." And I mean that is really big for City though. Nottingham Forest dropping points at home to Leicester, well, dropping those 2 points. I mean they would be sitting right behind City in fifth place, and it would all the teams would be basically within 2 points.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, it would be really interesting. However, I find it fun this year. I know as a City fan, I'm used to being at the top, but I feel like we haven't had like a real Champions League race like this in a couple seasons. I feel like the top four were pretty set, or at least like the top three, and then maybe that last Champions League spot. But honestly, three, four, five could go any way right now.
yeah,
And even if Arsenal, I mean Arsenal play what they play Newcastle, and then who they have the final game week.
I think it's Southampton.
Oh, well. Anyway, they have a tricky fixture coming up, so there is a chance, and Newcastle's right behind them. So there's a chance that if Newcastle win out, they finish second in the league, which would be crazy to hear.
For sure.
So it, everything's up for grabs these last 2 weeks in terms of Champions League football and even European football with Europa League and the Conference League.
Yeah. I think it really does factor into the FPL discussion as well, because I mean, these teams, the motivation, the determination, all these things. I mean, I think it's pretty clear that Liverpool have kind of given up on the season a little bit in certain regards, you know? And I mean, they are a team that's sitting on 83 points. They've already locked up the league. Trent's gone. And all their whole team. I mean, at this point, it's kind of like, all right, let's just get to the end of the season because we don't want anybody to get hurt. We don't want any of these. We want to get minutes for players that haven't had them. Like Slots come out and said that Bradley was starting. Like for the Arsenal match, he came out beforehand and said he needs the minutes for next season.
I think he said he's going to start the remainder of the season, which
Yeah.
makes sense given Trent's leaving. So
hmm Yeah. So little things like that mean a lot, especially now. I mean, FPL is always a tricky thing to manage with substitutions, with is someone going to be benched? And right now, those questions are huge because I mean, you don't want to build a team for, especially, I know that I probably take a little more risk towards the end of the season because I want to make up ground for my bad FPL season so far. And you don't want to take a risk on somebody and then have them be put on the bench, like taking like negative hits. So it just depends on how you want to play the game. But I really do think it's really important to analyze like, is this player important? Are they going to play? What are they actually playing for? I don't know. I'm on a little bit of a tangent right now, but
no. I mean, you're spot on. There will be some people might be playing longer than they typically have just because they're important to the team and can create chances. And 2 games left, a lot to play for.
mhm.
Wouldn't surprise me, and I think you've kind of seen it with City that like Kevin De Bruyne have been playing more minutes towards the end of the season because he still is influential
Yeah.
in matches and can still create. And I think Pep realizes that that's something that City's lacked this year. But you'll probably see that with Chelsea. I know that there was a stint where Cole Palmer was kind of getting subbed off later in games. He'll probably still be in there. Um, Arsenal still have a lot to play for, so I see Saka playing and not being benched or anything. So,
Mhm.
uh, like you said, a lot of punts. Really the people that I would avoid now are Liverpool assets, just because of you don't know who's going to play. Like you said, season's wrapped up. Probably going to
Yeah.
see some squad rotation. Probably see some younger people come in. I don't. I can see Salah getting subbed off pretty early, just so he doesn't get injured, and
Hmm.
we'll we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I agree with you. And then I think another key thing to point out too is just Liverpool is a team to avoid, in my opinion. I agree with you completely. But also like Southampton, they've just been bad. Let's Southampton, Leicester, um, Ipswich. I've seen some people on Twitter kind of like pushing like Enciso because I mean they're playing Leicester, and I just don't like that narrative. I'm not somebody that thinks that just because a team's in the bottom and they're playing another team in the bottom means you should have those FPL assets because they just haven't consistently performed. I'd much rather go with a team that is a better team where that person is has been proven, you know? Because I mean, differentials are a great part of this game, but I think there also needs to be some more backing behind it, you know? But
Uh, yeah, like differentials are exactly that. They're differentials. You get one or two of them, but you got to have some key people who are going to put in minutes, who are going to get your returns.
mm,
Those are going to be the foundation of your team, and then those differentials are what's going to separate you.
yeah, I completely agree, Kyle. But I think whenever we were talking about doing this podcast, we both wanted to discuss a little bit of a wild card team. So I think that's a good way to kind of have a little bit of a more nuanced discussion about which players we want to highlight for the two remaining game weeks. So I think we should just go ahead and dive into that. Kyle, do you have that team
Um, I've got fixtures
fixtures? Okay, let's do
that I
that.
think that I think would be good to target, and just kind of like teams in general. Um, so one that's tricky and one that I think I would have, but I'm just a little tentative, is Crystal Palace.
Hmm.
Um, I think Muniz is a great pick. I think you would want to keep him in there, and I think Eze, obviously just coming off the great week. Um, they do have Wolves, which I think is a good fixture for them, and then they have Liverpool, who, as we just discussed, don't really know how they're going to play, especially the last game week. So the only thing that makes me reserved about them is that they have the cup game still to play.
Yeah, that's the Saturday, right? Or is it Sunday?
I think it's Saturday because City play Tuesday, so I think it's Saturday. I could be wrong
Yeah.
though. Um, but
It would have to be Saturday. I don't think they would schedule it.
yeah, and Crystal Palace also play on Tuesday, so I'm gonna assume it's a Saturday game. Oh yeah, and there's no Premier League games on Saturday, so that makes sense.
Yeah, it's Saturday at 11:30.
So that makes me a little worried about them. But I still think with their fixtures, great team to target. Another one I would probably, and I currently am, which maybe don't listen to me, but triple up on Nottingham Forest. So
Luke would have thoughts about that on this podcast.
um, as we kind of just discussed, they've got a lot to play for still. So I think they're going to be going full gear. It was Forest that the owner came down after. Yeah, wild in that
Insane.
aspect. But
Insane.
um, they've got a lot to play for. They can't really be dropping any more points if they want to make Champions League. So they do have what game week 38. They got Chelsea and then West Ham in 37. So
Hmm.
I could see Chris Wood getting a couple goals. Um, their back line, I don't necessarily know if I would go with anyone at the moment. Um, but I do like Alanga. Um, he's a good pick, and he's one that I was thinking as maybe a differential earlier on in the season.
Yeah.
He did start to pick up about midway through, and then kind of cooled off again. So he this season he seems like a player that kind of performs in spurts. Um, so I know he did get an assist last week. I think he's a good player for them to really target. Um, Another one, I'll always say City. Again, a lot to play for.
Mm-hmm.
They do have some tricky fixtures, as we talked about earlier. You could probably at this point try and go a differential, which is crazy for me to say, but Holland might be a differential. I think a lot of people currently have teams. Everyone sold him after his bad run, City's bad run, and then he got injured, and they spread their funds evenly across the team. So it could be a chance to maybe get a differential Holland pick uh, for the last two game weeks where they're really going to be need some clinical finishing, um, need some goals to really secure that Champions League spot. I think I'm going to go soft and sentimental and keep De Bruyne in my team for the
Yeah.
last two game weeks.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to play, even if he doesn't play full 90. I think he's going to play these last two games, and then he could still be in FPL next year. But I'm
Good.
highly doubt that he's going to join another Premier League team. So just gonna be a little sentimental and keep him in the squad for now.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah, I get that, Kyle. Sometimes as FPL managers, we just have to make decisions with our heart, even if we know we shouldn't.
Even if it's like
Sometimes you have to.
De Bruyne, I've never really thought of him as like the best FPL player. Does
Mm-hmm.
get assists, but that midfield is just always so stacked, especially now. It's stacked with the likes of like Salah. There was Palmer. There's a lot more people that will score than
Yeah.
assist, and that extra point really does make a difference. Um,
Mhm.
and then I'll probably rock the duo that I think has been really enjoyable for me to have in my team this season of Wisa and Embuemo. Probably also the last couple weeks that we'll see them in the same team.
Yeah.
So um, was a fun combo to have. They saved a lot of my FPL weeks this year.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, with a lot of Embuemo to Wisa or vice versa
Dude,
goals that
you
really help.
profited big time off that partnership.
Yeah, and there were weeks that I went away from them, and I regretted it every time, and have always brought ended up bringing both of them back in. So probably could have saved myself some transfers and points and money, um, keeping
Yeah.
them long term.
Yeah.
Um, but those are really kind of what I'm going for. I think for me personally, and probably a lot of people out there, it's for me it's more about having fun these last couple weeks. The
Mm-hmm.
mini league's gone for me, so I'm just trying to have some fun, put in some players that I think have the potential to really do well, um, and just also have teams that are fun to watch these last couple weeks, so that I'm invested and really am rooting for stuff. So it's nice to root for Brentford, especially because they're not in contention for a Champions League spot. So it's
Mm-hmm.
fun to watch them knowing that they're not a direct competitor for City at the moment.
Yeah. Yeah. I understand that. What's interesting though, Kyle, is that I think at this point in time, it's just so interesting because I think you're exactly right. This is kind of where the line between like where do you want to finish your FPL season, like rank wise, mini league wise, but also it kind of gets to the core of it. Like, and I always harp this point whenever we do the podcast, but like we play this game because we enjoy the Premier League, we enjoy watching soccer. Yes, I said soccer, not football, but we enjoy it. We want to be around it, and this is just another way that enhances the experience of being a fan. Honestly, so it's something that I don't know. I think that one of the better decisions you can make as an FPL manager is like, is this actually a fun decision for my team, and something that I'm going to enjoy, which is kind of like it's a game, at the end of the day. But I think another team that I personally really like a lot at this point in time is Villa. They have a lot to play for right now, but considering their spot in the table, and they play Tottenham at home, which is an interesting matchup because if we look at Tottenham, We know that they're playing in the Europa League. Let's see, when is that? When does that occur? Sorry, I'm looking real quick. So that falls Wednesday, May 21st. So the final against United is going to fall between the last two game weeks. So you could see a Spurs team that may be rotated on Friday, which is when Villa and Tottenham play, which another thing to note, it's going to be an early deadline. The deadline is going to be Friday, May 16th this week. It's not going to be Saturday. There's no games on Saturday, like Kyle said. But so, I mean, this is a Tottenham team that literally has nothing to play for in the Premier League. They've had a disaster of a campaign. Let's look at, they have lost, I think it's 20 matches this year.
Let's see, table.
They've lost 20 for a team that's in the Europa League final. Like, and then United.
11, yeah, 11, 5, and 20. And United's not much better. Actually, probably less fun to watch with a negative 11 goal differential
Yeah.
of 10, 9, and 17. So,
I mean, it's absolutely wild though. I mean, like if you look at Tottenham, I mean, I know that they've been ravaged by injuries, and I mean, there's at a certain point, it's two seasons now back to back of Tottenham not being able to fill a full 11 of players they want at any given time. But I mean, their goal differential is +4. If you look at Brighton, their goal differential is +3. Like obviously, those numbers aren't a direct representation of match to match, but just on face value, that's a table. That's what, 8 spots down, up or down the table. Where at a certain point, I mean, hey, I'm not saying Tottenham are horrible or they're whatever, but they could be a good matchup to target for Villa on Friday.
no, I absolutely agree with that. And I actually think currently Watkins is the highest transferred player in this game week. And I don't know if you saw the video, the post game speech that Ange gave to Tottenham after they qualified for the Champions League, but he even said these next 2 weeks lead up to that game, so there's nothing to play for in the league.
Yeah,
The relegation battle's been decided. There's no difference between finishing 17th and 14th.
yeah,
Their goal is to finally get their hands on that elusive trophy that they can never get. So I 100% agree. And then also to the fact that right after that, who are we talking about? Villa.
oh yeah,
It's 9:30. It's that type of week for me.
like on a Tuesday.
Yeah. Villa right after that then play United, who are going to be fresh off of that game. So either one, again, they're going to be tired from playing in the final. If they win, they're gonna hear the excuses if they lose that they were hungover from winning the Europa League. And then if they lose, it's just gonna be, well, they were tired. The season's over. There was nothing to play for. So still plenty of opportunity there. Exactly what you said. I think that's a great team to target for these last two game weeks.
Yeah, I love Villa. Just a couple other highlights for me. I had Jared Bowen last week. I've had him the past couple of weeks. He's staying on my team for the remainder of the season. Just I learned this lesson early on, or actually I haven't learned it quick enough. But when you have a player that returns 3 straight weeks, don't ever take them out. Let it ride. See how long you can be on that wave, because there's too many times I've transferred somebody out when they're in a hot patch and I'm like, it's over. And then they go on 2 or 3 more weeks of just absolute tear. So he's not going anywhere. I still love Cunha this week playing Crystal Palace away. I think he's an elite forward. I think he'd be United's best signing in the past 10 years. And I know Bruno Fernandes, I think Cunha would be perfect for United next season. I think they should go get him. I was also thinking about this today. What do you think of this, Kyle? If they sign Cunha and Jared Bowen, I think those are two awesome signings for United that can help put them on a path forward to success.
Yeah, I agree. United just like really weird to me that they've got some decent players, but I think United's issues the past couple years is that they changed their manager so quickly. I know I understand it's United and they're expecting results. But I think they really need to commit to a rebuild and a system because I feel like that's been their issue is that they don't really have an identity these past couple years. So
Mm-hmm.
if you're gonna keep uh Amarin as your manager, you need to back him and let him go get the players he wants. Which I think United have typically done, but they don't. Then they got to give him a year to at least get the system in order. But
You can't keep passing the same deficient players down to the next manager and expect them to just work wonders with the same squad because at a certain point these players are burnt out on being at this one organization that obviously has extreme flaws and they can't let somebody just settle in, build their system, build the culture that they want because I mean at the end of the day I mean I think that's really what really I mean if you look what Pep's done with City, what Arteta has done with Arsenal, what Villa are doing with Emery, like you have to build that like that culture of winning, of togetherness, of all these different things. And I think that's United's biggest problem, honestly. They don't give people time to build that.
yeah, the players' belief that the system will work. But to that point, Cunha and Bowen are Premier League proven players, which I think is big. So you know that they will perform, or they at least have experience in the Premier League. So um, you get a little bit more confidence that they will perform again. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
but like you said, they're really fun players, and I think that them together, especially if United, I know that there's been talks that Saudi is trying to get Bruno Fernandez to leave. I don't see that happening. So build around that core group, which essentially at this point is really just Bruno Fernandez.
Yeah.
In my opinion, I guess you got Ahmad now that has shown promise this year. So
Yeah.
um, also their experience, at least like Bowen, I could see Bowen and Cunha actually just being good role models for that younger group for Ahmad, for Diallo, giving them just guidance on how to navigate the Premier League because I feel
Mm-hmm.
like you said is that United just keeps bringing in these players that from overseas that don't know really how the Premier League it's a different style of football so
Yeah.
you need people in the squad that know how to play in it.
Yeah. And I think that's something too. I mean, I don't want to just talk about United, but it's something that, because I mean, fuck them. But at the end of the day, I mean, you bring in people like Casemiro, like Ericsson, like all these players that you can that they kind of I think wanted to guide the younger players they had, but there's just something there where it hasn't connected. And at a certain point, you have to let somebody step in like Amarim and let them kind of fail a little bit and figure out what works and what doesn't, and then get their players and build a system. And that simply just can't happen. It can't happen in one season. You have to give somebody time to develop, grow, and like build relationships with the club and be successful. So I don't know. That's neither here nor there. This isn't a Man United podcast, thankfully. So another team I want to highlight though, real quick, because we're probably about to get off because I'm very sleepy. I don't know about you, Kyle, but I think Everton are a good investment over the next couple weeks, over the next 2 weeks. I mean, they play Southampton at home this week, and there's a couple players I'd highlight. I mean, I had Mikalenko in my team last week. Got a goal. This guy can kind of show up in different places. I mean, he's obviously not Trent from the left side, but I mean, he's a serviceable good left back that kind of wonders a little bit. So I think he's a good option. Brandwidth is always a good option. I mean, he can always show up with a header every once in a while on a corner. And let's just hope Southampton don't score because I will for sure be having an Everton defender because At this point in time, I don't know how you feel about this, Kyle, but I probably will not make a defender transfer for the last 2 weeks of the season. I think it's all attackers.
Yeah, I'm probably the same way just because the way I'm approaching the last 2 game weeks is going to be fun, and it's kind of just universally agreed upon that attacking is more fun than defending. So,
Yeah.
um, so I think that's a good shout. Mikolenko is seventh most transferred in currently. And
Hmm.
actually, I'm surprised that Beto is the third most transferred in. So,
Hmm.
seems like some people are thinking the same as you. Maybe they're also just targeting that Southampton fixture. But that is a good shout.
Yeah, I think that kind of puts us at a good place. I think I would say at this point in time, like we were kind of touching on earlier in the podcast, that the main thing is to kind of have, if you have a place that you want your overall rank to be, your mini league rank to be, just sit down and be like, what is the best way with my current team setup? Because at the end of the day, we can talk about different things we think, different things we want to highlight in the pod. But at the end of the day, it's really what the layout of your team looks like. And so that's always where um, we love when people reach out to us on socials, on X or Blue Sky, Instagram, anything like that. If you have questions, shoot it our way and we'll get back to you. But at this point in time, Kyle, is there anything else you would like to add, my friend?
Enjoy the last few game weeks before Premier League is done for the season. I know we got the Club World Cup this summer. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
Looking forward to watching that and some new matchups. But I always feel like it's a bittersweet moment. I think the break is kind of welcome.
Yeah.
A little, I won't say burnt out. And maybe it's also because it's almost 10 o'clock on a Tuesday, but just tired.
Yeah.
And I think the break is always fun because then we have the entire summer of transfers and everything coming in. So enjoy it. Some of these players will not be on the same team, even in Premier League next year. So enjoy the fun, and the home stretch is always exciting. So happens once a year. Um, yeah.
Yeah, we'll see how those Champions League spots play out and all that. But Kyle, before we close the podcast, one last thing. Who do you think Arsenal should get as their number 9 for next season?
Oh man, I wasn't expecting this.
So I'm going to throw 3 people at you: Sesko, Xerxes, or Isak.
I think your dream would be Isak.
Mhm.
I think he would fit that system really well. But I vaguely remember him saying that if Newcastle qualified for the Champions League, he was staying.
Mhm.
Um, Now, yeah, money talks. I'm sure something could persuade him, but I I don't know.
I think it's Sesko.
I was
The
thinking
one.
Sesko. I think he would probably be the number two. I was also just blanking on
On the name.
the other two people that you were that you said. But yeah, Sesko is who I was thinking about. I think he would be good for you guys. I don't know why I'm trying to think of someone else, but um, I don't know. That's blanking off me, but
Yeah.
I'll be very interested to see who you guys bring in because I feel like Arsenal could struggle kind of the same way sometimes that City struggle when they have Holland. So if they brought in like a target forward, that they might struggle a little bit because they might be overly reliant on him. Whereas currently, kind of with Havertz there, they play that false nine, false nine or target forward. Not target forward, but false nine. Where
Mhm.
he comes back into the midfield a little bit more to allow the wingers play. So I'd be very interested. I think either way, it's really up to how Arteta sees his team playing.
Yeah.
But I agree. I think Arsenal really need to go out and get a true striker this
Yeah.
summer.
We'll see how that updates. I'm sure that we'll be doing podcasts this summer, kind of talking more about the transfer windows, and then also like I think we're gonna try to do more stuff this summer about like different aspects of football, not just like FPL and everything. So everybody be on the lookout for that. But once again, Kyle, thank you for joining on the podcast. And be on the lookout because we'll be doing one more podcast next week before match week 38. Believe it or not, we made it, guys. The marathon's coming to an end. But Kyle, again, thank you for joining. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, of course. Thank you for having me again. Enjoyed all the podcasts this season, and look forward to hearing what you guys have in store for the off season.
All right. Well, you heard it there, everybody. We will talk to you next week.
All right. See you guys. Thank you.